Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Haley, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday, Dan.
It's been a big week at my house. Has it been a big week at your house?
Oh, yeah.
Every
Big
week's a
week.
big week, right?
So much. It's hard, having a baby.
Wallace had some immunizations done, right? The normal little
got
shots.
Like the hepatitis B, the polio, all those things. They poke him like 5 times
the immunizations
or something.
against those things,
Yes.
right? He's not accumulating diseases like a collector of some sort.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, you should see all the diseases he's accumulated.
It's terrible. No, he's getting shots, and I just feel so bad for him. I mean, it's better than getting the diseases, obviously.
By a fair amount. Yep.
But yeah, it's hard to see him get 5 shots right in a row.
Yeah.
And then, they're just lethargic for a couple days afterwards.
And they're fussy and they don't feel good.
They don't
and they
sleep.
let you know it. And then your life becomes a little more miserable.
It was so sad. Like, bath time is kind of Wallace's favorite time of the night.
Yeah.
He's real into splashing.
Okay.
We have to put so many towels down before bath time can start because it's that serious.
Oh, yeah. It's a big time. I get it.
It's wild. But he just sits there in the bath after these shots. Like, he's not.
Oh, he's not even having fun with bath
so
time.
sad. That's how you know he doesn't feel good.
Yeah. So that's been Haley's week.
Yeah.
Lots of fun with that. Mine doesn't even it doesn't even hold a candle up to that. So
Well, yours has been funny, honestly.
Because of the
it's
dog?
terrible for you, probably, but
yeah. Maybe everybody else is dealing with this. My dog, Maggie, she's a golden retriever, and she is shedding unlike anything I've ever seen before.
you've talked about tumbleweeds rolling through your living room.
I vacuum every single day, sometimes twice. And just last night, after the second vacuuming round, the kids joked about the tumbleweeds of fur just rolling through the room. It's like a ghost town in a
little Western.
Oh, it's terrible. If you touch her,
It's really extreme.
it just falls off. It's horrible. I'm covered with it even now.
I don't know how she has hair left, honestly.
I don't either. It's just miserable. Eventually, it's going to end. But other than that, I've loved the weather. It's been great.
Yes, it's been a good week.
All of that's been going good. Now, let's get to the show. We've got a ton of stuff. At the end of the show, we're going to be giving away 2 more $100 gift certificates. We gave 2 away last week. 2 lucky listeners won.
Yep.
We're going to give 2 more away, and we're going to do that all the way through October.
So keep tuning
keep
in.
listening. If you've got projects, this is going to save you some money, and we'll tell you how you can enter and win, and you'll know today if you're a winner.
Yes.
So that's all coming up at the end. We'll also be in the studio with Brian and Amber Yassi from Creations by Brian. They're painting contractors out of the Muskegon area, and so much more.
Yeah, they've got a great story. They're very involved in the community.
Yeah. So we'll just have a sit-down conversation with them.
Yeah, good
As
people.
opposed to
A stand-up.
stand-up conversation. I don't know really what that means. Anyway, let's move on to what we want to talk about right now. Fall is here, and we get the great weather, but we know winter's looming. Mm-hmm. And because of this big seasonal change, there's all kinds of maintenance projects that we should, as homeowners,
be
tackling, right, to get our houses ready for winter. And it all sounds well and good, and home improvement shows and blogs and all of that around the world.
Oh, yeah. They love giving you lists of things to do this time of year.
Exactly. But yet when you compile all the things that you really should do, and Haley and I, we compile these lists based on not just what the blogs are saying, but really what we think should be tackled at our homes.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
reasonable things that should be tackled. Even the list of reasonable things that should be tackled
is really overwhelming.
completely. We've got this huge to-do list, and you look at it and you think, no wonder I never get to any of this, because it's staggering.
How do you even start? Yeah.
So we're going to talk about some of these projects that you should tackle, and we're going to actually talk about them over the course of about 5 weeks or so, because we wanted to break them up. And
so that it's not so overwhelming.
Right. And right now, before we get into the first list of to-dos, the things that we're going to set you off to do for this upcoming week, let's just talk about how you handle a big list of to-dos in the first place. You know, it may not be just the fall projects. This could be any great big list of...
Right, your daily chores, your weekly chores, any home projects.
If it's overwhelming you, let's just go through some ways to really pare that down and make it something that you can chew through and accomplish.
Yeah.
And if you've got a great big list of to-dos, one of the first things you can do to simplify things is to make more lists, right? Break it into smaller lists. Keep multiple lists.
Exactly. Because if you look at a list of 3 things that feels manageable. You don't feel overwhelmed. You don't feel stuck or frozen. You don't feel defeated before you even start.
Right.
That's something that I know I can get done.
Yep.
So if you just take a few things off your big master list at a time and focus on those 3 things that you know you can get done, that's way more manageable.
Right. So we have done that with all of these fall projects.
Yep.
We've broken them into multiple lists. We'll talk about them over the course of multiple weeks, like I said. But each list is digestible. It's something that you can do. You don't have to look at the other ones yet. Just do these. And if you do these right now,
Yep.
you'll be ready for the next list when it comes. It's
Exactly.
a great way
so
to break
if you
it down.
keep tuning in, for the next 5 weeks, by the end of that,
You're
should be able
home.
to have all these projects done.
Oh, yeah. Your home's going to be ready. Locked down tight,
Yep.
ready for winter. All right. That's the first tip. Second tip, don't save all your work for the weekend. Again, whatever lists we're talking about, whatever work you're doing, some of the tendency that a lot of us have is to, okay, that's my weekend project.
Right.
And that can be so depressing because we all work normal jobs. A lot of us, most of us. And when we get to the weekend, the last thing we really want is the abnormal job that we've got to do, all the extra stuff around the house.
Right, exactly.
Don't save your projects all for the weekend. Tackle it during the week. There's lots of little things that you can do during the week that will free up your weekend a little bit or minimize that list by the time you get to it.
Exactly. Break up some of those bigger projects into small tasks that you can accomplish during the week. If you've got to schedule something or if you need to purchase, items for the project that you're going to do on the weekend, get that done during the week so that you've got a little bit less to do on the weekend.
Yep. And right along those lines, a nice connector to that is to, number 3, set a timer and see how much you can accomplish.
Yeah.
When I go home at night, I really don't want to tackle even small projects.
No, I get that.
Because I don't know how long they're going to last.
Yeah.
But then I stumbled onto this thing probably about 5 or 6, 7, I don't even know how many years ago. And it really worked for me. I set a timer for like 15 minutes because the food, dinner wasn't quite ready. It's 20 minutes away. And I thought, I can set a timer for 15 minutes. And when that timer goes off, I quit. But I'm going to do as much of this, I'm going to clean as much of the workbench as I can in 15 minutes. Now, the project alone, if I sat down to do it, it was going to take me 3 hours to go through everything on that workbench. And it was overwhelming. I didn't want to do it.
Exactly.
But then I set the timer and I thought 15 minutes, how far can I get? And not only did I know I had a deadline, which made me okay with starting the project.
Exactly. It doesn't feel giant anymore.
It didn't feel huge, but also it became really fun. Because
now it's like
I wanted to see how far I could get. Yes, I'm very competitive.
Yeah.
And I would race. I would just fly. And I found that I was able to do like an hour and a half's worth of work on that
That's
bench
amazing.
over the course of just a few nights.
Yeah.
Because I broke it up and I had fun doing it and I saw progress. Everything was great. So set a timer. Come home, you've got 15 minutes. Tackle a few of the things on your weekend list or the list that needs to be accomplished by the weekend.
Right.
Tick off some of those things. You'll minimize the list. You'll see progress. You'll feel momentum growing.
You'll be able to cross those things off too. Being able to cross things off your list during the week feels so good. Like you really do get a dopamine hit from those things.
Dopamine hit?
Yeah. Like all the feel-good hormones in your brain are like, yeah, let's keep doing this. We want to keep crossing things off.
I make up fake lists just so I can cross items off.
I've actually,
dopamine rushes.
You put like shower on your list.
No, I don't really do that. But what I do that's ridiculous is I will do something at work because this is how I do my workday. I make a list of everything that needs to be done today. And then as I cross these little things off, it really does work.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll do something that wasn't on my list. I better write that on my list and then cross it off. Sometimes I wait just a couple of seconds so I don't just write it and cross it off right away. But it does feel good to see these things getting crossed off. So set a timer, see how much you can accomplish. Last little one that we've got just for working through big lists would be to break big projects into multiple tasks.
Yeah.
So what does that really mean, Haley?
Something like we're going to talk about washing windows, which
everybody
no one
loves.
wants to do. That's a lot of work and it's a big project and it's a lot of time on your weekend potentially. And so a lot of us probably just put it off. We're not even going to start or we're not even going to touch it because it's too overwhelming. That's too much. It's too big. So if you start just breaking that project down.
So you wouldn't write wash windows on your list.
Right. I would write take the screens out of the windows, get supplies ready, cross those things off. Wash the windows on the front of the house, cross that off. Wash the windows on the side of the house, cross that off.
Repair the broken windows that I broke when I was trying to wash the windows in a speedy manner and was careless. That would be another thing that you'd put on the list, right? Should that happen?
Should that happen?
That's how you would do it. And I think that makes so much sense because gathering the supplies. I've got 10 minutes. The fries are in the oven. They're going to be out in about 10 minutes. But I could quick go double check all the supplies I've got, get everything in a bucket, set it aside, ready to go.
Exactly.
And now I can cross that part off the list. And now my list for the weekend is so much smaller, just a touch smaller.
And you've already started. So when the weekend comes, it's not going to feel like this huge task anymore.
Sounds silly. It's like playing mind games with yourself.
Yes.
But it really does work.
This is all the ways to trick yourself.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to put all of that in the show notes. You can check it out. We're going to take a break right now. And when we come back, we're going to dish out your very first week of fall prep, the little jobs that you should do by the time we're talking again next week. Yep. So all of that's coming. Stay tuned. And we're back. You're listening to the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Benjamin Moore, and it's time for the list. Last segment we talked about.
So official.
It is. It's the list.
It's
the week one list.
Yes.
Last segment we talked about all the fall projects, all the things that pile up. And when you look at everything you should do as a homeowner, you just want to laugh, throw that list out the window, and then just burn the house down. Because it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, you just want to quit.
Nobody can do these things. So we decided as a public service,
we were going to break them down into smaller lists. Yes, exactly. Bite-sized lists. Things that you can really accomplish every single week as you tune back in for the next 5 weeks.
Right. 5 weeks.
5 weeks.
Right. 5 weeks of this. Every week we'll give you a list of things to do. And if you've done these things by the next week, oh man, you are going to be just clicking along. Yeah. So let's get to the first week's worth of stuff. And it's kind of an easy week.
Yeah, it is.
Well, kind of. And then there's a really bad project. But don't worry, we can make that bad project better. Let's start with the easy stuff. First thing, all you're going to need is your phone dialing finger and maybe a phone book or the internet. Probably the internet. I don't think anybody has a phone book anymore. You want to get on the calendar.
Yes.
There are so many seasonal service providers whose calendars fill up almost instantly, as we hit certain parts of the year. And you want to be one of those people that's got a slot reserved. So if you've got in-ground sprinkling, for example, and you need that winterized, you better get that going. I always forget about this, and every year I call late in October. They laugh. Put me sometime near the end of November. Yep. Is when they can finally get there now.
Freaks out for most of November.
Yeah, I'm going to get a freeze. I'm going to, wreck my pump or something like that. Don't be me. Call ahead. Get on the calendar right now, this week. What about planning for leaf removal?
Yeah, if you're going to either get compost bins or you need a leaf dumpster like me, the city of Wyoming provides a leaf dumpster if you've got a ton of leaves to get rid of. And it schedules up pretty fast. This thing's booked almost solid already. I was just able to get on it. So if you haven't done that yet and you need to, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, there's like 4 slots left. It'll be a bloodbath. Yep. Get on the phone fast. Dial like the wind. Dial like the wind. If you're not going to need that, you might not even know if you need that or not. If you're in a house for the first fall, this is your first fall in a house.
You probably don't know what you need to do.
Figure out what you need to do for your leaves. Yeah. Ask your neighbors. It's not something that you normally just have a conversation about. No, and I know when all of a sudden I had to deal with my leaves, I realized I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I'm in town. I can't burn them like Mom and Dad used to do all those years ago. Fortunately for me, I could put them on the road. You thought, Haley, last year that you'd be able to put them on the road, and it turned out you couldn't.
Had to bag them all up, and that's a lot of leaves to bag.
Do the asking right now while there's time to make a plan to deal with whatever the answers are. So think about that. How about scheduling a furnace tune-up? This is something that if you look on websites and, just ask around, what should I do for getting ready for the winter?
It's at the top of every list.
Oh, yeah, it's everywhere. But to me, it always feels gimmicky. It always feels like maybe I'm just paying somebody to make a sales call and tell me all the things I need. Is it worth it?
Well, it turns out you need a new one, Dan.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm always afraid of. And so I did a little bit of digging, and furnace manufacturers, not people putting them in, but the manufacturer themselves, recommends that every year furnaces get cleaned out. Dust and dirt is the biggest enemy of your furnace, believe it or not.
No, that makes sense.
And so maintaining that and keeping it clean is a big deal. And they recommend certain things that really most homeowners can't do, removing the blower, getting that all cleaned out. So if you're hiring somebody to come in and do a furnace tune-up, and that's what it involves, it's probably worth it. We don't have time to dig into all of that right now. So we're actually going to be in the studio next week with texts from Service Professor, and we're going to run them through the ringer. We've got a million questions.
Have them prove that this is really worth it.
And I've had some exchanges with them, and after hearing all the things they'll do, I really think this is probably a pretty good service, but we'll get more information to you next week. How about tree maintenance? That's another one that you might want to schedule right now.
Right, exactly. There are some trees like oak trees that can only be pruned or cut down during winter months. So now is the time to get on that schedule for the year.
All right. Those are the easy things. All you're using is your dialing finger and your smartphone. Now let's talk about a bigger project that you can do, and these are some things that you can tackle while you can still open windows. So we still got some nice weather. Let's take advantage of that and be smart. And Haley's first big project is everybody's favorite task, cleaning windows.
Yeah, I don't want to do it either. It's not like I enjoy telling people this, Dan.
Seems a little sadistic, but
it's a real thing that you should be doing. You've got to wash away all that pollen and dust from spring and summer, and it's a really good opportunity to make sure that they seal well before that cold starts setting in and you find out you've got a draft here or,
No, that makes sense. You want to be able to see the whiteout very clearly. You don't want to have dust blocking your view of the whiteout out there. I know cleaning windows sounds really bad, but I think, the absolute silver bullet here. This is gold. If you hear nothing else today, you're going to want to make notes about this. Haley's predecessor and I, Betsy, years back, tested a bunch of window cleaning solutions.
Yeah, all the best ones from the internet, right?
Right. We took them all. We tried all the different chemicals, and we found a great system. Now, what we did to clean the windows, very fast, all we had to do was remove the screens. Then we sprayed the window to get it wet and rinse debris away. So use the garden hose for that. Then we washed the window with the washer solution that we came up with and a little sponge. And then we rinsed it with a garden hose, and then that was it.
Then you walked away.
No drying it, none of that. Just walk away, let it dry, and the results were great. And
what is this magic solution?
The solution, Dan? I'm going to put it in the show notes. You can check it out, but it's a half a gallon of warm water, a tablespoon of Jet Dry, and 2 to 3 tablespoons of Dawn. It cleaned really well. There wasn't too much sudsing. The water sheeted really well, which was important. As we're rinsing it, it's just sheeting away. And so there were minimal water marks when it was left to dry. We were completely blown away by the results.
And you said you were done in 30 minutes.
We did the whole house, my whole house, all the windows and the screens.
Okay, so maybe not such a terrible project.
No,
I mean, 30 minutes is nothing.
No, it's not perfect, but it is so close to perfect, and we're heading into winter.
Yeah.
This is the way to get your windows cleaned. I'll put that in the show notes. How about cleaning carpets? That's another one we can mention fast here.
Yeah, it's a good time to do it as our big humid days are behind us, most likely. Hopefully we can open up those windows, help that carpet dry out a lot faster.
Right. So call about those things, get those things moving. Of course, do some interior painting. And if you're going to do some interior painting, you might as well save some money. And
you might as well.
Might as well. To help you with that, we're going to give away 2 $100 gift certificates at the end of the show. Not right now. A bunch of people were thinking, oh boy, we're not going to have to listen to the second half. He's going to give us the info now. No,
we got you on the hook now.
Yeah, you still have to listen to the second half, and you're not going to want to miss it. It's great stuff. But at the end of that, at the end of the show, we'll tell you how you could be one of the 2 lucky winners. All right. It's time to take a break right now. The East Side listeners, you're going to get a RepcoLite Rewind. West Side listeners, you're going to get news and weather. Then when we all get back together, we'll be in the studio with Brian and Amber Yassi from Creations by Brian, talking about painting and, oh my goodness, all
so
kinds of
much
cool
more
stuff. That's all just ahead. Stick around. And we're back. You're listening to the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Benjamin Moore. And Haley and I are in the studio with Brian and Amber Yassi.
Exactly.
Yassi, not Yahtzee, not Yowzy. Yassi?
Yes.
All right, I got that right. Yeah. You said you've been called Yahtzee before, right?
Oh, yes.
Like the game?
For years, yes.
Really?
Absolutely.
Very
well,
fun.
It makes it easy to remember.
Absolutely. You guys are painters out of the Muskegon area.
Yep.
Right? And the company is Creations by Brian.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. You guys have a lot going on and just a really interesting story behind the business. But as we're getting ready to go on air, Amber, you're talking about how you think you sound like a chipmunk on the radio.
I do.
And you've been on the radio before?
I
Tell me
have.
about that.
Well, we did a home show in Grand Haven, and they had a live event, and so they wanted all the booth presenters to speak at the event. And when you can hear yourself speak, it's weird.
Yes.
And I'm 49 years old this month, and I sound like I'm 12, and I know it.
Well, my voice cracks like I'm 12 or 8.
That's true. Yeah. You guys have that in common.
I talk a million miles an hour. I've had people compare me to a chipmunk, not the sound, but the speed.
Yeah, that too.
We're a perfect team there.
There you go. I like it.
All
you
right.
guys should have your own radio show.
Yeah, Haley, you're going to have to hit the road. Chipmunk and I. Maybe that'd be a podcast. We could do a podcast.
Yeah.
There you go. I like it. I like it.
And I. Anyway, let's start this whole conversation with how you ended up in the painting business in the first place. Where did this all start? Because it goes back a ways.
It does go back
like
a way.
Your dad, right?
Yeah. So my dad, I just graduated from high school. My dad was retiring from the military after 30 years.
Wow.
And I was working odd jobs, and my dad wasn't doing anything.
Just lounging around, sitting on the couch.
And so I came home one day and I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he said, "Nothing." I said, "Let's do something." And that's how it spawned.
So now, where were you?
Who came up with painting, though?
Well, it started out as pressure washing. So I literally went through the phone book to see what services we could do.
Okay. Can't
I like
do this
it.
one. Appliance repair? Dad, anything?
Yeah,
Nope, nothing.
yeah. We might
That's
as well.
hilarious.
Hey, there's not a lot of pressure washers. Let's do that. And so that's how it started.
All right. Now, where were you guys when this all started?
Northern Virginia.
Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
All right. So
But what I like to say is that's decades. That's over 3 decades ago.
So he's old.
He's old.
I'm old.
Is that what you're trying to say?
I sound like a chipmunk.
Well,
and
when
he's
you
old.
say I'm old, that just makes you old too.
Yeah, there's that.
So you start with the pressure washing, and did you even have a pressure washer at the time?
No, we didn't have nothing.
So you just figured I can trigger this gun and might make this happen.
We actually went and we found somebody that was selling a used unit in a van. It was all enclosed.
Oh, my goodness.
And
A guy in a van by the river with a power washer.
yeah.
Seemed like a good deal.
Yeah, and we ended up purchasing that, and I think it was back then. It was like $8,000 for like 2 washers. It was a big truck-mounted machine.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was a big hot water truck-mounted machine,
All right.
and a big 3,500 van.
Okay.
And so we just started that, learning how to do it.
And well, what happened from there? Because how long before you advanced into painting?
Maybe a year or so.
Okay, so pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. We found out the first year we were doing a lot of house washing for painters. Mm-hmm. And so we said,
Put 2 and 2 together.
we can do that.
Why didn't we think of this one right off the bat?
Yeah. So then we got my older brother involved, and he came on because he was doing construction and stuff. So he came on, and then we just started growing it from there. And then everything that we wanted to do, we just said, we could probably do that.
All right.
So-
all right.
I like the confidence.
There had to be like, wow, I don't think we could do that. I mean,
No,
were there
there's-
moments?
there's-
you
no-
figured everything out that you needed to figure out.
Yeah, so like we got in with new home construction down there at one point in time, and I don't know if you ever heard of Pulte Homes. It's a big production home, so you're doing, neighborhoods and developments and stuff like that.
Thousands of
so
homes.
where you're ordering just thousands of gallons of paint,
All right.
and you're spraying all day long.
All day long.
Yeah,
So that's
And that's
you,
just
your
like
dad,
production at that point. It's
yeah,
not
that's
even-
just
yeah.
production. So
and just the 3 of you.
well,
Or
no,
did you
we
expand the crew.
We expanded that. So by the time that I left there in 2003.
On our website, it says 2002, but
Yes.
I'm wrong on the website. There's that.
Yeah. So when we left there, I believe we had 25 painters, a few carpenters, and some drywallers.
Wow.
All right. And your dad was still on the crew? Or
Yeah. Well, he was just kind of overseeing stuff.
overseeing stuff.
Yeah.
He was in the military for 32 years
Yeah.
or something like that, right?
Yeah, 30 years.
30 years. What's that like? Taking a quick step back. Your dad's in the
Yeah.
military. I mean,
Yeah.
did he run a tight ship at home?
He tried to. Yeah.
Okay.
3
Were
boys.
you moving a lot? Was it that kind
Yeah,
of
so-
situation?
We moved every 2 to 3 years until we got to the DC area, and then he was able to just transfer his stuff right there since I got in high school. So
Oh,
I took
okay.
my whole high school career there, and then he got orders to go to Hawaii.
Oh.
And so,
Well, that sounds terrible.
I know it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But he looked at it as two ways. I couldn't go because I was already 18, and my older brother was 20. That was 20 couldn't go, and so he was like, I can't leave the States 7,000 miles away
Sure.
and just leave my two
Right.
sons.
Yeah.
So he opted to retire.
All right.
Well,
and
good
then
for him.
went to the couch, and then you dragged him off the couch.
Yeah.
Made him a power washer, and then from there, the mogul of a painting empire, right?
Yeah, for the most part. And then once I left, they actually transitioned over into remodeling.
All right.
So
all right.
they would do stuff like raise houses and put basements under.
Oh, so like crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3-season
So
rooms.
it's that thought process of we could do that.
So you're in Virginia, and then you moved to Michigan. What made you make that move?
She's from here.
Okay.
I was born and raised in West Michigan. I went to school in Pittsburgh, and I got a job at Dulles Airport. And from there, I met Brian. I've actually lived with him from the day that I met him because
Oh
he
my
was my
goodness.
roommate.
Actually said that on air.
I did.
I love it.
Now our kids will know.
I love it.
My roommate was renting a room, and so he moved into one of the rooms. And so then we started dating, and then we got married, and we had 2 kids, and I was from here, so I wanted to come back here.
Yeah.
After September 11th and all of that stuff. So I wanted to come back here, and we came back here, and he wanted to get licensed and start his own painting company. So that's what we did.
Yeah. So
And that's where Creations by Brian comes about.
yeah. So back when I started, you actually had to be a licensed painter back in 2003. And I think in 2015 they changed that to where you don't have to be a licensed painter. But we keep that up. I'm actually a licensed builder, so I can do that.
I think that's awesome.
It really is.
But we don't practice a lot of that stuff. So like
Well, you don't have to practice when you're as good as you are. Do it, right?
do it. Just do it. So, but we get on a lot of exteriors where there's a lot of wood rot, and so we're having to replace a lot of stuff. So that all
Right.
comes in handy.
Yeah.
So
for
talking
sure.
about your paint business, what kind of things you mentioned exterior work? Not everybody does that. Some want to just focus inside. What do you
Yeah.
guys cover? You know,
We do exterior, interior painting mainly. That's our main source, and then trim replacement, and then trim installation is a little bit of it for interior painting or for interiors. We don't do a lot of new construction,
okay,
and we do not do a lot of commercial or
okay,
industrial.
not doing commercial,
Yeah.
but full exteriors
So
and
this
stuff
is
like
full
that.
exteriors. It really doesn't matter the heights of them. I mean, we got
That
some,
doesn't bother you at all?
no.
Man,
So I want to purchase the 60-foot ladder.
I know, right? Yeah.
We've only
My heart
had
just dropped a little.
we've only had to use it one time, so we rented it that time. But we do have.
but it was so much fun being up there.
Oh, he takes pictures.
Really, that doesn't faze you at all?
no.
Okay, yeah.
So we have a
It's too
48-foot
tall
ladder
for the
that we
ladder.
did purchase, and that's nice. It's a lot sturdier than the regular ladders.
All right.
So, but once you go up there, you take your lunch with you.
You're not coming down, is the point.
I'd send my lunch down is what I would do, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that was a good joke. I want to make sure everybody caught that. We're in the studio with Brian and Amber Yasi.
Yasi.
Ugh, still can't do it. From Creations by Brian. You guys work in the Muskegon area. Cover how much of West Michigan?
We go from basically Stony Lake down to West Olive out to like Nunica area.
All right. How big is the crew?
Right now we have 6 guys that's in the field plus me that is doing estimates and in the field part-time, and then Amber in the office full-time.
All right. Well, that's the painting stuff. Now, there's a lot more that you guys get involved with, and I want to jump into that, but I think we're going to take a break right now and then catch that on the other side. Are you willing to wait with us?
Sure.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll be back in just a minute with Brian and Amber from Creations by Brian. Stay tuned. And we're back. You're listening to the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Benjamin Moore, and we are in the studio. Haley and I are with Brian and Amber Yasi.
Yasi. One of these days you'll get it.
My goodness. Do you want
It's
to change
like you
it?
want to mess it up.
Yasi sounds good. It sounds good. Yasi. Brian and Amber Yasi from Creations by Brian. You guys work in the Muskegon area. I've met you a few times at some of our events, and I connected with you over some like community stuff you were doing. You were donating some services to a particular project. We threw some paint at it, and that was all really cool. And we covered, where the business came from and how you got started, the long journey from Northern Virginia, right, to Michigan, all of the drama, the ups, the downs, the tears, the joys. We covered all of that in the last segment. Now let's talk about something that's like super important to you guys. It's all over your website. It's stuff that you do. It's a big part of your life. And there's a lot of it I could go into, but let's start with the foster care. I asked Amber if that was something. Are you willing to talk about that on air? And,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you
got
almost
very excited.
jumped out of your chair. So, let's get beyond the paint. Let's talk about some important stuff to you guys.
Well, we actually got involved with Kids Belong because we got licensed in foster care.
So what is Kids Belong, first off?
Kids Belong is a nonprofit that helps support and provide resources for foster, adoptive, and kinship families. And we host family events, date nights. We have a clothing closet, one in Grand Haven, one in Muskegon. We have a couple of churches that host our events for the foster care adoption community. And we do support group, we do lunches, we have people where they're connected with respite, which respite is basically watching a foster child or adopted child for the night. So that way the licensed provider, the parent, can have a break. And it's really something that has been in desperate need because we have a lot of broken placements, and that broken placements is saying, hey, we're struggling. We can't handle this foster care case, this child and their needs or their adoption, and they're breaking that placement. And we don't want those placements to break because that is not healthy for the children to have those.
So much instability
And trauma. And so we want to help reduce the breakage of placements, and we want to make those foster parents strengthen in community. And we do that by the services that we do, the events that we do. And we did foster care for 3 years, and it was very isolating, not intentional. Our family loved on us, our church loved on us, but you just feel so alone because you're dealing with things that a typical household, when you're parenting your kids, you're just not dealing with.
Right.
And
what made you get into that in the first place?
Foster care?
Yeah.
It was just a leading that we took.
God guiding us on what we're supposed to do, and not talking about it, but putting action behind it.
Cool.
And we had 2 boys for 3 years, and they had siblings in another family. And so that family adopted all of them and their siblings. And once they left for their adopted family, we're just like, okay, this was hard. We need to recoup. And I was not done. Like, my heart wasn't done. And I was invited to serve on the board of Kids Belong. And so now I'm an advocate, and I solicit donations and of either clothes or products or money in order to help feed this organization that then blesses and encourages and supports the foster community. So it's a big machine, and it's getting bigger because I am super excited to say kids that age out of the foster care community and being in that label, they really struggle. They're behind, sometimes emotionally, sometimes academically, and they just need more help. But once you turn 18, you're no longer in foster care. We are building houses, and it's called First Place.
Wow.
And it's called Kids Belong First Place. And we're building houses for these kids to move into, and where they'll get a mentor, they'll get support, they'll get encouragement, they'll get help filling out applications, applying for loans.
What a big life transition. I mean, I can't imagine at 18 just, okay, you're on your own now.
Correct. It's huge. And they don't have the family support to help guide them or just inform them of things.
Right,
And
right.
so it's then a lonely road for them, but there's no adult figure in their life to do it. And about 4 weeks ago, we broke ground on our first duplex.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. The goal is to build 8 houses over the next 18 months, I believe. But it's off of Marquette over by Muskegon Community College, and it's going to be awesome. We're excited. We're excited about
really
what we're doing and who we're helping.
So what other thing? I mean, you said you solicit, help, donations, all of that kind of stuff. Where can, if our listeners right now are thinking, maybe there is something I could do to help with that. Is there a place that they can go online to start investigating?
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you. Kidsbelong.org. It tells you a little bit more about our organization and what we're doing and who is involved in that. We're not splitting hairs. If you are caring for your grandkids because your kids can't take care of them and they're in that kinship placement, we want to help you. And so foster, adopt, kinship, whatever, it's kidsbelong.org. And for that house that we're building, that is called First Place. But it's all on our website. You can find out more. And we're doing really big things and we're making an impact that is going to change these kids' lives. And it's pretty awesome to be part of something so huge and the ripple effect of what it can do.
Absolutely.
It's very cool to talk about all of that. We see you guys in the store, as painting contractors, and all the painting contractors that we know, they have secret lives. They have other lives, secret in a good way. There's all kinds of stuff going on, and we don't always catch all of that. We don't realize that. I had no idea that you were going to go into all of that. I had no idea I knew you do a bit of that. I had no idea how in-depth it was.
Yeah.
And how incredibly powerful it is for all these people in need.
Oh, gosh, yes.
You just got to imagine, like for this with the foster care, these kids are just ripped out of their house. They're not taken away. They're ripped out. And so now they actually have nothing. They have no support. And so when you have something like this, when you do anything in life, it's always easier to do it with some type of support. And not only for the kids, but also for the families that are taking the kids in.
Right.
Well, like they say with any, family, it takes a village, right?
Yeah.
It does.
So this is doing life together.
Wow. Absolutely so cool. Kidsbelong.org.
Yes.
All right. We'll put links to that in the show notes. Getting back to your painting business, we've got 45 seconds left or so. I know you guys, you said before we went on air that you were pretty busy for the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Yes.
Something like that. But if anybody out there wants to get in touch with you, ask about projects, get on the schedule for down the road, how's the best way for them to reach out?
By calling me. 231-557-8599, and I'm full-time in the office, and so you'll get to talk to me.
And
all right.
Your calls will be returned if she doesn't answer.
Right?
Yep.
All right, perfect. I will put that number in the show notes, and also creationsbybrian.com. That's
Yes.
your website, right?
Yep.
Brian and Amber, really, I can't believe all the things you guys are doing. Thanks so much for taking time to be with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
This was fun.
And I really should take a second here and say that if you're looking for a painting contractor, and maybe Brian and Amber can't get there quick enough because they're a little busy right now, or maybe they don't cover the area where you live, if you'd still like to find some names so you can get some quotes, a really easy way to do that is to head to RepcoLite.com, RepcoLite.com, and right on the homepage, there's a Find a Contractor tab. Just click that, fill out the form, hit submit. We get that form, look it over, and then we'll get back to you with 3 or 4 names of contractors in your area who do the work that you need done. So check out the Find a Contractor form at RepcoLite.com. All right, Haley, we've got a little bit of time left. What do you think? Should we give away some paint a minute?
We should.
All right, we're going to give away 2 $100 gift certificates to 2 people who email us at radio@RepcoLite.com. So email right now, radio@RepcoLite.com. We'll take the 7th and the 12th person who emails. So radio@RepcoLite.com. We'll let you know today if you won. And that's all the time we got. We're going to wrap it up. If you want to find this one again, you can find it online at RepcoLite.com. Whatever you do today, make sure paint's a part of it. The RepcoLite stores are all open, waiting to help. I'm Dan Hansen.
I'm Haley Johnson. Thanks for listening.